In a hospital room in the emergency department, there's a college student just laying on the hospital bed, staring up at the ceiling. She doesn't have her shoes on. She's got her hands on her face. She looks very stressed. Someone is in the room with her recording her. That's how we know this. She's rubbing her face. I'm gonna have such a long day tomorrow. Oh my God. I'm not gonna answer anyone's Snapchats. I'm not gonna answer anyone's questions. The person recording her does not respond to her, does not even try to comfort her or anything, just records her in silence. She slowly turns her head over to look at the cameraman briefly while she's laying there. Well, you're too quiet. I'm gonna start singing now because I hate the quiet. He still doesn't respond, not much of a response. So she just starts singing, laying there flat on her back on the hospital bed. I mean, clearly she's not that injured. She's singing, moving her arms around, doing the finger guns. Eventually, she needs to get up and put more effort into this performance. She sits up in her hospital bed, takes off her socks, sits crisscross applesauce, and starts singing. You know those cute little TikToks that are me at 3 a.m. pretending to be performing on my tour? It's kind of like that. She's cupping her face, she's flipping her hair, she's singing Intentions by Justin Bieber. The lyrics go, picture perfect, you don't need no filter, gorgeous, make him drop dead, you're a killer, shower you with all my attention, yeah, these are my only intentions.
Make sure that you don't mention you have my only intentions, so you know that's you.
She's like whipping her head around. She's staring straight at the person quietly filming her. Oh yeah, you never answered me about my car. I have school tomorrow. How do I get my car here tomorrow? A very low man's voice is heard behind the camera.
Your car is totaled.
What's what?
Your car is totaled. Totaled, wrecked.
Okay, so how do I get to school tomorrow? You don't. So I don't go to school tomorrow? Is that what you're telling me? No, ma'am. You want me to be honest with you? You're going to jail. You don't have a bond. You killed 2 people tonight. That's what's going on. So yeah, no, you're not going to school tomorrow. That man filming is a police officer.
Is she going to high school, middle school?
College.
College, okay.
This is the case of Stephanie Malgoza, the college student who killed 2 people and proceeded to complain the whole time of how this could happen to her. She would ask about emailing her professor and sing songs at the crime scene. We would like to thank today's sponsors who have made it possible for Rotten Mango to support Kaylee Millis Foundation, a nonprofit established to encourage people to drive responsibly. They help rebuild families' lives after experiencing loss and hardship from fatal or non-fatal car crashes through individualized financial assistance, grief counseling, and emotional support. This episode's partnerships have also made it possible to support Rotten Mango's growing team, and we'd also like to thank you guys for your continued support as we work on our mission to be worthy advocates. As always, full show notes are available at rottenmangopodcast.com. There will be 2 separate cases included in today's episode. So one problem that we've been struggling with is we get a lot of requests for cases that are either ongoing and developing, or we just haven't been able to find much information on enough to do this full comprehensive deep dive. And since we only post twice a week, we thought this would be the best way to bring you those stories in this format. So if you ever have any case suggestions, let us know in the comments or at rottenmangopodcast.com. So with that being said, let's get started. 10:16 p.m., authorities are called to the scene on 2208 Main Street in front of a bar called Full Throttle, literally right in front of a bar. There's been an accident. Right when they get there, they see this Dodge dark car parked in the middle of the road. It's red, and there's pretty substantial damage to the front of it. There's this massive large dent to the front hood. There seems to be what appears to be blood splatter. A girl named Stephanie Malgoza is standing off to the side, and she seems relatively uninjured, and honestly, not even in a state of shock. The officers approach her, and she tells them, I called as soon as this shit happened. I go to Bradley, the university nearby. It's actually a top-ranked private university, so just keep that in mind. This is in Illinois. I go to Bradley. Why would this shit happen to me? The officer asks her if anyone took her information, and she starts pointing at him. Her finger is pretty close to his chest. Your friend took my license. Your friend took my license. The officer asks her, were you leaving the bar or were you... I was coming here. It's a little strange how comfortable she is right now. The way she's talking to the officers, it reminds me of how someone would talk to their mom. When a mom tells you, why did you do that? And you almost half whine. You told me to. I was doing what you told. I was coming here. I was coming here.
Were you leaving the bar? Were you coming this down the road?
I was coming here.
Okay.
You know, I had just gotten my night started.
Do you have anything illegal on you? Yes, I have marijuana in my purse.
Oh,
Have you had any marijuana tonight? No?
is it legal there?
No.
Oh, completely illegal.
Yeah.
Wow.
He has her put her purse on the hood of the cop car, and she's still holding some items in her hands. He asks her to put them down, and she says, my vape too? She later asks, I graduated in 4 weeks. Is this going to affect anything? She gets a full pat down before they put her in the backseat of the cop car. And the police, they don't want to ask her more questions right now. Right now, their priority are the two people. Because near that red car, that's Stephanie's car, there are two people laying covered in blood, dead on the ground near the car. Right there at the scene, there are contorted bodies. Even though her car is red, it's pretty easy to see how much blood has splattered all over the windshield and the front bumper of her car. There is blood quite literally everywhere. There is a woman laying about 30 feet from the red car, which is quite far. But her leg, part of her leg has been completely severed and is attached to the front of Stephanie's vehicle. It's stuck on the front bumper of the car, sticking out the front grille. There are photos, it's blurred, but there are photos. There's another man laying about 90 feet from the car, and the officers are seen trying to perform CPR on their bodies, but they're not moving. Their bodies are in a really bad state. It's stated that at least both of them had partial leg amputations as well as full body blunt force trauma all over.
And she knew that.
Yeah, she's at the crime scene. She sees this.
And
She sees the two
is
people.
acting completely
She's
unfazed.
like, I called 911 right when this shit happened. Paul Prowant and Andrea Rosewitz, they had been at the Full Throttle bar. And since they had a drink or two, they wanted to be safe. They started walking back home. I don't think that either of them were quite drunk, but I think even a sip, you shouldn't be driving. So they're being extra cautious. They don't want to put themselves, they don't want to put others at risk. It's 10 p.m. It's not that dangerous of a road until Stephanie Melgoza starts driving. And it's very clear from the get-go that she is so intoxicated. She tries to make it seem like she was heading to the bar. She's heading to Full Throttle to, quote, get her night started. But the officer, they read her Miranda rights and ask her, are you open to explaining what just happened? And she's sitting in the back seat of this police car at the scene. And she's like, yeah, I was coming to the Full Throttle and I was almost here, as you can see. Were you driving this way or that way? I was coming here, and suddenly, one person, she sticks her index finger in front of the police officer. One person walked out in front of me, and my car got hit. And I called you as soon as I got hit.
My car got hit.
Yes. You called 911? Yes, I called 911. She's nodding her head up and down also the whole time, like, I freaking told you. How many times do I have to tell you? I called 911. As soon as something happened. And then someone said, oh, someone else is hit. And I was like, oh my God, how did that happen? Okay, so what happened when you hit that one person? I just called you. That's all I know. I called you. Did they fall down right away or did you get out and help them? What happened? I got out, I called you, and then everyone else came out. So I just kind of let them come and take the situation over. But I promise you, I only knew one person got hit, and I'm just like, they came out of nowhere because, like, I'm a safe driver. I get it. If you had to estimate how fast you were going, I would say at least 40, maybe 40, 45, but at least 40. The speed limit on this road is 30. You think that you were going too fast for this dark area?
Honestly, don't think I was going too fast because I try to be precautionary about where I'm at.
Okay.
But I just know that one person came out of nowhere.
Did you have your headlights on?
Yes, sir.
Brights on or just regular headlights?
Regular.
Okay.
So obviously you saw them and there was no time to react. And she almost gets half up out of her seat in the back of the police car, like she's gossiping with friends and they're reaffirming her. No time! Oh, that's word.
That's word?
That's word.
No time.
Okay.
That's the word.
Okay.
Wow.
All right, so where were you coming from? I was coming from Tavern 41 on Sterling Avenue. Tavern 31. 41. 41. Yes, sir. And you left Tavern 41 and drove straight here. Yes, sir. Over the course of the night, how much of you had to drink? I probably had 3 drinks. What is 3 drinks? Are you talking what type of drinks? Just vodka? Straight vodka or mixed drinks? Vodka and water. So I was staying hydrated, right now, if you had me do a test, I think I would pass. Just don't test me, but I think I would. I think I would pass. I'm going to be honest. We are going to do those tests here in a little bit, but how long ago was your last drink, if you had to say? About 40 minutes. So about 40 minutes ago, you were drinking and then you drove. Were you drinking while you were in the vehicle, or was this the last drink at the bar? At the bar. On a scale of 1 through 10, 1 being the least drunk you've ever been and 10 being the most drunk you've ever been, where would you say you'd put yourself right now?
5. Because I've been very drunk. And right now, I see you, I see everyone, I know the situation, you know what I mean? I know I'm aware of everything.
Okay.
The police do an eyesight coordination test, which she's going to follow the officer's light with just her eyes. I think it's wild because she is seen smiling and laughing for even a few seconds of it. And listen, I tend to give people a lot of grace when it comes to nervous laughing. I'm a nervous laugher. You give me slightly bad news, take me off guard, I will smile because I feel very stressed on how to respond. But nervous smiling and laughing, in my opinion, do not extend to this level. They're just minor stressors. This is a life-threatening, life-consequential type of situation. But she's smiling and giggling because it's hard not to move her head, and she's following the light with her eyes. At one point, she even grabs hold of her face with both of her hands. The whole eye coordination test, which is supposed to test how jerky your eyes are when they move side to side. So when you're drunk, no matter how good you are at, quote, hiding it or behaving like you're sober, it's very hard to fake this test. So for example, right now, if you're sober and I move my finger across the screen, you can follow them very smoothly, even to the corners of your eyes and then back. It's almost like a train going back and forth. You'll notice that drunk people, it's 3 points. They look straight, they jump to the left, then they jump to the right, then they look straight. It's very jerky. And then even when they're looking to the nearest of the left or the right, their eyes will have these jerking movements, almost like twitches, if you will. Because if you're that drunk, that's what happens. It's very difficult to hide it. At one point, the officer tells her, you gotta put your hands down. And she's like, fine. Like they're playing a game and she broke the rules. And you can visibly see on the camera that her eyes are jerky. It's like a 3-point, 1, 2, 3 that she's doing with her eyeballs. She states the eye test is so hard, she would rather just walk in a straight line for them, which don't worry, she is instructed to do just that next. 1 foot in front of the other. She's gonna do that, then go back to her original standing position, back and forth. And it's likely that she knew that this was gonna trip her because the minute that she does a few feet in front of the other, she just stops. Puts her feet right next to each other. And then she's like, oh, let me try again. She acts confused on, wait, what were the instructions again? It's very choppy. It's very shaky. Then she's told to balance on one leg. I mean, she can barely keep her balance. She looks like a gymnast who is about to fall off the balance beam. So they kick their other leg up to gain stability. That's what she's doing. After that, the police want her to take a blow test to check her alcohol, and they tell her, take a long, hard, steady blow into the straw like you're blowing up a balloon. And she starts smiling and giggling.
All right.
Blowing up a what?
Yes, ma'am. Take a deep breath, long, hard, steady blow.
It's almost a sexual joke, it seems. And then she giggles before blowing into the test. The other police officers standing on the side, they look so done with her. Likely, these are the same officers that were just performing CPR on the 2 bodies on the side of the road. And now they're watching her making this seemingly joke. She's even seen smiling while being handcuffed and escorted to the back of the cop car. She is smiling. While the other officers, they look depressed. I don't know how else to put it. They just look over it. They look depressed. They're the only ones that seem to grasp what just happened to Paul and Andrea. Both Paul and his girlfriend Andrea were found deceased at the scene. It was clear that they weren't going to make it. One officer report reads, Andrea's left leg had been completely severed below the knee. She had a deep laceration to the inside of her right thigh. I observed that her right forearm and wrist were completely broken. She had blood draining out of her left ear. As for Paul, another officer wrote in his incident report, I observed that he was missing his right leg below the knee. He was not alert and had blood coming from his mouth. I felt a weak pulse and began CPR. My squad started to cordon off the crime scene, and a short time later I observed the firefighters placing sheets over both the victims. I walked over to the front of the suspect vehicle and observed a severed leg and foot with a shoe on it that was pinned to the front bumper of the suspect vehicle. I observed a second severed lower leg and foot on the ground next to the grass. The officer asked the bartender of the bar because at this point, all the bartenders, all the bar patrons had run out. They had heard this massive crash. So they're figuring out what's going on. The officer asked the bartender if the victims drove to the bar. She points at an SUV in the parking lot. She believed that was theirs, which it was confirmed to be theirs, indicating they didn't want to endanger anyone by driving because they had something to drink, so they left on foot. They did the right thing. They did the safest thing for themselves and for others on the road, but Stephanie Melgoza did not. They did everything right and they were still killed. Another officer notes that while at the crime scene, Stephanie was just standing off to the side, just watching while people perform CPR on the victims. These are not the victims' friends, family. These are not, I don't even think they're medical professionals. They're just random bar patrons and bar staff that want to help. Other people are just freaking out, running, hysterical. And this was not on the body cam footage, but the officer wrote in his incident report that Stephanie told him, I'm willing to cooperate with everything and do whatever you want as long as you're not mean to me. She kept insisting, and I quote, Sir, I can tell you right now that it was not two people. She stated that it was just one person that ran out onto the road all of a sudden, which she's not that credible because the legal limit for alcohol for driving is 0.08. Stephanie Melgoza's blood alcohol level was 0.253, almost 3 times the legal limit. Typically, that is severe impairment. All mental, physical, and sensory functions are severely impaired. Even just walking is dangerous for the drunk person because that person is likely going to have increased risks of accidents, of falls. They have severely impaired coordination and balance. It's also likely the risk of choking on their own vomit at this stage of alcohol impairment is heightened. And because of that, Paul and Andrea are now dead. Their cause of death were both listed as multiple blunt force traumas sustained as a pedestrian being struck by a motor vehicle. When the authorities are getting her ready to be taken to the hospital, Stephanie Melgoza starts talking again. Can I ask you a question? I have an 8 a.m. tomorrow at Bradley, an 8 a.m. class. Will I be able to make it or should I email my professor? The officer seems kind of taken aback and just tells her for the time being, they're going to be together for the next few hours at least. She's like, yeah, no problem, as long as I can text my professor. On the way to the police station, she's telling the officer that's driving that she's so embarrassed. Not because of what she did. She explains while laughing, I didn't think he could hear me, but he heard me. Oh my gosh, that's so embarrassing. I thought I was by myself in the back, but I wasn't alone. Oh gosh.
What is she talking about?
She was singing to herself in the back of the cop car and she thought she was alone, but there was another police officer that heard her. And she was embarrassed. The officer just ignores her and starts driving, at which point you can kind of hear her mumbling and singing in the back, and it sounds like she's asking the officer to sing tunes. He responds, sing tunes? I don't think it's the appropriate time to sing tunes right now. He just tells her that they're going to go to St. Francis, the hospital, to do a ton of paperwork, to which she responds, I have an internship there next summer. Clearly, she's not aware that she's likely going to be in prison next summer. Do you? Yeah, when I graduate. I'm excited. Yeah, the Department of Health. They recruited me as an official analyst. Oh, okay. And it's going to be $17 an hour, which is a good job for starting out, coming out of college. I understand. I'm excited. I'm scared, but I'm just ready to work and not be in the food industry for once, you know? Eventually, they tell her, you understand what we're gonna do. First off, I'm gonna let you know that you did hit 2 people, total. I did not. You did. I didn't, purposefully. Okay, well, however you want to word it yourself, that's fine. I'm just telling you, there's 2 people struck by your vehicle and both are dead. I did not hit them.
I did not hit the
Okay.
people. I can tell you right now.
Okay, well, I'm just telling you the two people that hit
Why
your
would I
car.
call
Ma'am, listen.
911 if I...
Two people struck your vehicle, so I'm telling you, and they're both deceased on scene. I'm just telling you that information, okay? We're going to go in here. We're going to do the thing. I appreciate you being cooperative so far. I got to tell you what's going on.
Okay.
You understand?
Yes.
She honestly looks agitated in the back of this police car, like he's lecturing her about something that she already knows. They finally get out of the car. They start walking towards the emergency entrance of this hospital, and she mentions that she does have blood on her. And the police officer, honestly, he is maintaining his cool this whole time. He's very calmly just explaining, well, your whole windshield is shattered, so that's understandable. I know what I did, and I know what I didn't do. And it's not true. If it were true, I would be crying. You know what I mean? I'd be like, oh my God, I did this. I'd be like, but I know what I did.
What does she think she did?
She thinks that someone jumped out in front of her car and hit her. One person.
Okay.
And then she immediately called the police because she did nothing wrong.
And that person has passed
Yes.
since.
Yes. And that's likely not even what happened. And she's very drunk.
Yeah. But still, even so, like, nobody would be like,
Yes. Okay, that's
so weird.
That's a very good point. Yeah. Even if her version of events is true, her behavior is bizarre.
Yeah. So it's like, like, yes, she's under influence and all of that, but it's still really odd.
It gets worse. Her behavior gets weirder. So when they get into the hospital room, it's just Stephanie Melgoza and the police officer inside the room. And she starts rambling about how excited she is about going to Vegas. She literally says, I'm going to Vegas. It's going to be so much fun.
I'm going to spend at least $500. I'm going to start off with 2 Long Island,
which is an alcoholic beverage. The police officer turns around because he had been doing paperwork this whole time. His body cam is on, and that's how we know this footage. But he's been doing paperwork. He turns around. You haven't had enough drinking already? We're talking about Vegas. I feel like I'm in Vegas. Have you been there? He ignores her, and he keeps using his phone, to which she says,
I swear to God, if you're Snapchatting right now and I'm not,
Crazy.
According to a few officers, she kept asking for her phone because she needed to Snapchat her friends, and she kept stating this is the longest she's ever gone without Snapchatting her friends. Later, she gets escorted into a bigger hospital room, and she's laying on the hospital bed. This is when she starts singing Justin Bieber songs and keeps asking the officer about when she's gonna get her car back because she has classes tomorrow. And he tells her, and he's so done with her, she's honestly cruel. He tells her she's not going to class tomorrow. She's been arrested for killing 2 people, but she bypasses all of this information and asks, can I get it Tuesday for my night class? Can I get my car Tuesday for my night class? Did you just hear what I told you? You said I'm not going tomorrow, but I'm asking about Tuesday.
Did you just hear what I just told you?
You said I'm not going tomorrow. I'm talking about Tuesday.
Did you hear when I said that
I'm going to jail tomorrow.
You're going to jail when we're done here?
Yes.
Did you understand what I told that you killed 2 people tonight?
Yeah, so I'm just wondering when I can go to school.
Okay, we're done.
She rolls her eyes, leans back down to lay down on the hospital bed, and the man tells her, you could care less about killing 2 people tonight. That's sad. You're pathetic and horrible all at the same time. And he was so composed throughout this whole situation. And she turns to him, laying down, and says, can you say that as a cop?
What?
Yes, ma'am, I can. It's kind of strange that she gets so upset and even questions if he can even say that, if he can even do that to her, treat her like this. Like, how dare he, when she literally killed 2 people. Okay, so can I ask when I get to go back to school? Should I email my professors that I can't go back to school for a while or what? Because I graduate in 4 weeks. Like, I need to know. I don't know. The officer is sitting down and she's laying on the hospital bed like it's her couch. And she's just chit-chatting with her best friend in her living room. That's the position. Even if I didn't have a police officer in my hospital room, I don't think that I would be that comfortable in a hospital room. Mm-hmm. The way she's laying, it's like, when you you bend at your knees and then you almost kind of rest them on top of each other and her legs are kind of spread out. It's just her body language is just so comfortable. I don't even think that I would lay down like this at a friend's house, unless I may be sleeping over, unless maybe I'm, I don't know, so close with them. She looks like she's about to binge watch a Netflix show by herself, and she's staring at the police officer. And he just responds, "To be quite frank, I'm a little bit more worried about the 2 people who are dead right now, to be fair." She rolls her eyes and repeats, "To be fair."
To be fair.
For a second, she's laying there rather quietly. Well, quietly for her. So I thought maybe she's done now, right? But she continues. "Oh my God. I can't wait to join the DUI club. All my coworkers have them. Oh my God, all of them have them. They're going to be like so fucking, oh my God, I got to text them."
She calls it a DUI club.
Yeah.
Like, she's so excited and happy.
The officer reports that throughout the night, she kept asking for her phone so that she could text her friends that she finally joined the DUI club. She continues rambling to herself, and she's smiling as she's saying that, by the way, the whole DUI club. She's smiling about how silly goofy she and her coworkers are. And finally, she sits up at the edge of the hospital bed, still talking to I don't know who. It's okay, though, because they're taking me to Vegas for my birthday in 2 months. That'll be fun. We just can't wait. It'll be like partying.
How old is she turning?
She's 24, so I assume she's turning, well, 25 maybe, yeah.
Wow.
And then she starts singing again. She was charged with failure to reduce speed to avoid an accident, possession of cannabis in a motor vehicle, and aggravated reckless driving resulting in death, as well as aggravated DUI resulting in death. I mean, essentially, she went to a bar, got very drunk, and then had a giant bottle of Tito's vodka in her car, and presumably was drinking while driving, literally, and then hit them. I think that she just didn't see them because she was so drunk.
Are they like on crossing the street? Or?
We don't know. It seems like they were just on the side, walking like you normally would.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't, there was no statement that they were crossing the street or anything. It seems like it was purely, she just almost basically aimed at them is the feeling. I don't think that she intentionally did, obviously. She had weed in her purse as well as that large bottle of Tito's vodka in her car. Now, there's a lot of notable moments from this case. We don't have much information on really anybody. We don't have much information on the victim or how they were walking, at which part of the road they were walking, or any witness statements from Stephanie Malgoza at the previous bar that she was at, because she would plead guilty. So we didn't need any of these testimonies. There was really no trial. Now, other notable moments from this case include, well, in the back of the police car, because there's a camera there. She's being driven to the hospital, and she starts pointing out the fact that the officer's window is so clean in the back seat that it almost looks transparent. She said, "Damn, your windows are really clean. I thought it was down. I thought your window was down, like dead ass. Like your windows are really clean."
Look, if you were in my position, you'd be like, wow, that window is down. You keep your vehicle well maintenance.
She then continues to sway and dance to imaginary music. She also angrily states to the camera that one of the officers is being a dick by accusing her of being drunk. And she says, "I've never been more comprehensive." Or, what's the word? I guess. I don't know. That's about it. She literally says that. Mind you, she's talking to herself in the camera. Then she continues to sway and dance to the music, which is a thing that she does on and off the entire night. At one point, she starts dancing in the backseat in a way that I can only describe as intense dancing. I mean, she's mouthing words to a song. She looks like she's about to grind on the seat, making faces like you would if you're performing on stage. She also asks the officer while he's driving, "Can I hit my nicotine pen, please? Oh, that's all I want." He tells her no, and she goes, "Fine, I'll just pretend." She pretends to suck in air like she's using a vape pen. It's the most ridiculous footage I've seen in a really long time. And she comments, "Feels the same, honestly," and keeps doing it, even exhaling like she's puffing out smoke. She has pled guilty to all her charges, and she was sentenced to 14 years in prison. She is 24 years old. She said in court, "I'm so sorry for everything, and I'll never ever commit anything like that again. I have not drank since that day. I do not plan on drinking ever again. I want to try and do something positive to make a difference. Speak out about this and warn others about the dangers that come with drinking." Which, I mean, she was out on bail, but also you're going to prison, so I imagine that you don't really have a choice in whether you're drinking or not for the foreseeable future. So it's not really something to say like, "Look, I've changed," Her attorney also argued that he wanted to, quote, pay it forward by using her story to prevent others from making the same mistake. Then Stephanie Malgoza turned to Paul and Andrea's family and said, I never meant to hurt anyone. I'm sorry for the pain that I've caused. I will not forget them and I will live with this every day. Which is the most generic statement that you could ever say. One of Paul and Andrea's family members stated, you have destroyed multiple families with your selfishness. You have zero consideration for others. It was her decision to drive drunk and she should be held accountable because you chose to drink, you chose to get drunk and then drive. Our friends and family have a sentence of daily pain and grief that grows greater each and every day. But most importantly, Paul and Andrea have lost their lives. Such precious gifts lost forever. The victim's family stated that it was Stephanie Malgoza's decision and her decision alone to drink and drive that night. They demanded the maximum sentence of 28 years, which they sadly did not receive. She has to serve at least 85% of her 14-year sentence, meaning she could get out in 11 and a half years.
She won't even be 40. She's still in her 30s.
Yes. But not only that, it gets worse. She ends up still receiving her diploma from Bradley University. Everybody was so upset. At first, everyone thought that she would even be walking at the graduation because she was out on bail. And there was such a huge uproar. Students were threatening to not show up. It was really bad. She was eventually banned from walking, but she still received her degree. The even more unhinged part is some people actually defend her online, stating, there is not one person on earth that hasn't made a mistake sometime in their life.
Wow.
Yeah, to that person, I would just like to say...
No way. Is it not a lot of people, right?
No, this is a small group of people, and maybe like they are the mistake. I don't know. Your lack of common sense and good judgment is the mistake here. How could you even say that? One person commented on Stephanie's father's Facebook post, my heart hurts for you and your family. Stephanie is a wonderful person and you're a great family. I'm sorry for the people who don't understand your situation. I pray for you daily, hoping for forgiveness and understanding. It's bizarre, but nonetheless, I do think most netizens do not like her. They feel zero sympathy for her. She said, can you say that as a cop? About the cop calling her pathetic. Honestly, that officer exercised an incredible amount of restraint. You can hear the anger and the incredulity in his voice, and I'm certain that officer saw the condition of the victims and her nonchalance would have angered anyone. She obviously did not give a fuck. A weaker person than that officer would have wreaked vengeance. There were some arguments that she was clearly so drunk that her mind likely did not register the gravity of what she had done. I personally have never been that drunk enough to say, but those who have been very, very intoxicated before wrote online, even in my most wrecked days back in college, I've never been so hammered as to not care if I've just killed two people. Being drunk just lets the real you show. I bet her true self has horrific disregard for other people. I mean, even her sober actions after being arrested and what she said to the family and everything is just bizarre. To make matters worse, it's alleged that while out on bail before her sentencing, Stephanie Malgoza got married to her boyfriend and got pregnant.
Wait, how? Why?
She gets arrested. I think she had $150,000 bail, so she paid $15,000 of it, got out, awaiting the sentencing, and within that few months span, she got married and then got pregnant and then had a gender reveal.
Okay.
Yeah. Allegedly, the caption to the now since deleted Instagram post, posted allegedly by Stephanie Malgoza, reads, through the hardest time of my life. I never thought I would have someone come into my life and become such a big part of me. Through my worst, I have found someone who wanted to stand by me and help me get through the toughest moments, but also someone to create beautiful moments with, something that I wasn't sure would happen again. I truly believe this is what it means to find a lifelong partner. I am truly blessed to be able to call you my husband. So as of right now, she is in jail for the next 11 years, hopefully 14. I guess all we can do is hope that she does learn remorse in prison, because whether we like it or not, she's going to be free and likely back on the road one day. Yeah, many netizens have commented that this is the easiest fatality in the United States to get rid of. I mean, what are your thoughts on this one? Because I just don't even understand. I don't understand even her actions afterwards. Even if you argue, oh, she was drunk, but no, even her sober actions are so bizarre to me.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Leave it in the comments. For a few years, investing was the one subject that I was too scared to touch. Everyone was telling me how important it is to learn. This is before I met my husband. I didn't have the time to look into it and understand it. And like, what kind of account should I be putting my money into? Am I putting in enough money? What's good? What's bad? It's just so overwhelming that I would push it off until later and later and later. Except investing can actually be so easy to the point that I wish I started it sooner. Today's episode is sponsored by Acorns. Acorns makes it easy to start automatically saving and investing for you, your kids, your retirement. You don't need a lot of money or expertise to invest with Acorns. In fact, you can get started with just your spare change. Acorns recommends an expert-built portfolio that fits you and your money goals, then automatically invests your money for you. And now Acorns is putting their money into your future. Open an Acorns Later IRA and get up to a 3% match on new contributions. That's extra money for your retirement. Acorns has helped me take the stress out of investing with just this one app. I'm able to save, invest, and learn all at the same time. They make it so convenient because I'm the type of person to forget to invest, but Acorns lets me set up automatic transfers, allowing me to meet my investment goals. Head to acorns.com/rotten or download the Acorns app to start saving and investing for your future today. Paid client testimonial. Compensation provides incentive to positively promote Acorns. Investing involves risk. Acorns Advisors LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. View important disclosures at acorns.com/rotten. I can honestly tell you that my least favorite part of the day is planning and cooking dinner. There are just so many steps for it just becomes draining. I need to prepare the ingredients, take out all my pots and pans for the dish, and it just makes me dread the hour or two that I'm going to spend in the kitchen. It's why I've developed a very bad habit of ordering takeout lately, and at the end of each month, I always regret how much I spent on takeout alone because it's just so expensive. And if I'm being honest, it's probably not the healthiest. That is why I am obsessed with Hungry Root. Hungry Root sends you fresh, high-quality groceries with simple, delicious recipes. I love it because it's just as easy as ordering takeout. I can place my order on my phone and they will deliver it straight to my door. The best thing about Hungry Root, though, is that they have recipes that take 5 minutes or less. I don't even have to worry about making this huge mess in my kitchen because some recipes are as simple as 3 ingredients. My go-tos have been the curry chicken and zucchini stir-fry. The coconut curry sauce just tastes so delicious. And with the quinoa and chicken, it's super filling. But Hungry Root can be tailored just for you. They get to know your personal health goals, your dietary restrictions, favorite foods, how much time you want to spend cooking, because I know some people love it, and so much more. Once they have all of that, they will build you a personalized cart with all your grocery needs for the week. It's like having someone else do all the planning and shopping so you don't even have to think about it. But even if you don't like all the recommendations, each order is fully customizable, meaning you can take out their suggestions or choose to replace it with anything you want. And Hungry Root has everything you could want. They've got fresh produce, high quality meat and seafood, healthy snacks, smoothies, and even snacks and meals made specifically for kids. Everything from Hungry Root follows a simple standard. It's got to taste good, be quick to make, and contain whole trusted ingredients. Right now, Hungry Root is offering Rotten Mango listeners 40% off your first delivery and free veggies for life. Just go to hungryroot.com/rotten to get 40% off your first delivery and get your free veggies. That's hungryroot.com/rotten. Don't forget to use our link so they know we sent you. The next case starts unraveling June 27th of this year. So this is very recent because it takes just 4 minutes to ruin Linton Wyrick's entire relationship. 4 minutes. His relationship is practically over. 4 minutes, and now Linton's girlfriend is in the hospital, concerned that all of this stress of her relationship being ruined is going to harm their baby because she has been carrying Linton's baby for the past 7 months. Linton is this fitness online coach, quote, personal trainer and musician. That's his bio, okay? And he's usually an okay guy, kind of. Not really. He does have a bit of a criminal history for dangerous driving, assaulting a police officer, breaking into a residential home and stealing $82,000 worth of luxury goods. Literally, he took a suitcase nearby, started piling up all the jewelry and handbags that he could find in this homeowner's safe. But other than that, he is generally an okay guy. Sure, Maybe that's what they say, to each their own, right? But this time, these 4 minutes have taken it too far. When she, the girlfriend, finally sees Linton again for the first time, everyone that saw this weird, awkward gathering said she was walking in towards him in a blind fury. All she could see was probably red. She's beyond enraged. How could he humiliate her like this? Everyone had seen the video. Literally everyone. I wouldn't be surprised had there not been some sort of barrier between them that she would have thrown a glass of water at him or something. How is he going to explain away this one? He's caught on video cheating on her. And this 4-minute video is as bad as it gets. It shows Linton standing up while a woman is in front of him, down on her knees, performing things on his body parts. Then she gets up and starts making out with him. Now, the strangest part is this video is not filmed with the camera on a tripod. Someone is holding the camera, walking around getting better angles. At one point, the cameraman even turns the camera to himself to show himself smoking what appears to be a joint. He comments, "This is a movie, innit?" While he films the woman getting up, making out, and then they start performing the full-on intimate act. Linton continues by grabbing the woman in the video by her neck. He's got both his hands around her neck, and then he starts kissing her neck, and the cameraman is rushing to get a better angle, and he comments, "Guys, we've made history. This is what I'm telling you." Then he gets the camera right up in her face, where it's clear that both the participants, Linton and this girl, this woman, know that they're being filmed. But they're so engrossed in the dirty deed that they don't even seem to care. Even though Linton has a pregnant girlfriend back at home, nobody cares. The cameraman then again shows himself, and he's smoking. There's clouds of smoke in this room. It does not appear to be an attempt at a professionally filmed X-rated video. I know the word cameraman makes it sound like they're trying to create a high-end film or something, but it's very weird. It's very homemade, if you will. Linton has his hands around her neck, and when they hear someone trying to come in, the cameraman slams the door shut again and says, give me a minute, just 1 second. And the cameraman proceeds to place his hand over this woman's mouth to keep her quiet. It's a very weird dynamic. So Linton is the one having intimate relations with her. The cameraman is blocking someone from entering through the door and then placing his hand on this woman's mouth to keep her from making noises. There's a lot going on.
Still doing it?
Yeah, they're still doing it, and I don't know who's trying to come in. Now, this goes on for 4 minutes, and the worst part of all of this is the woman he's having relations with in this clip had gone viral before. She was one of the couples from this British reality TV show called The Open House Great Experiment. The show is supposed to be about exploring what it's like to be in a non-monogamous relationship, where a bunch of couples in open relationships or couples wanting to try open relationships are sent to this luxury retreat where they're free to explore with other couples. It's a show about swinging and multiplayer activities under the disguise of wanting to appear very open-minded. I do think that a lot of people can have great, healthy, open relationships. I don't think that's the problem, but apparently the show did not handle it well. There were clearly couples and people that were insecure and did not feel good about what was happening. One netizen writes, I've started watching the first episode. I think it's messed up so far. The first couple, the blonde girl and her husband, he admits he lacks confidence and feels like he's not good enough. It seems like he needs therapy rather than seeing his wife get intimate with another man on television. It's very messed up, and the guy will probably have lifelong trauma after this. But another netizen writes, you realize nobody forced any of them to participate? It blows my mind that people are trying to cancel the broadcaster. How are they at fault for broadcasting a series where voluntary couples explore open relationships? It's almost like exploration isn't predictable. Regardless of where you stand, I do have to say the show really nailed down the shock value. There at one point was a 15-person event where they all had intimate relations between 15 people. The girl in the video, the one that's having intimate relations with Linton, she was one of the 15 on the reality show.
Wow.
Her name is Linda de Souza Abreu, and she was on the show last year with her husband Nathan. So she's married. And she said, monogamy is a social construct that should be dismantled. Opening up our relationship has allowed us to form a deeper connection with each other. Which, I don't know if it's just the editing, but almost immediately after, she's seen twerking right up in front of another woman's face and then kissing 2 people at the same time. Just 3 people making out at the same time.
This happened where?
In the UK. This happened.
Case is a UK case, okay.
Yes, so the reality show was released in 2023. This is season 2, and then this new video is in 2024.
The 4-minute video.
Yes, where she's having intimate relations with a man named Linton. And the whole open house reality show, it's just a lot. There's a lot of emotion swirling around. And to make matters even more interesting, Linda has that 15-person orgy and talks about how she's been with her husband for 9 years and they've been open for 3 years and they've got an 8-year-old daughter together. So does her husband know that she's being filmed having intimate relations with Linton right now in this 4-minute clip? Now, like I said, a lot can happen in 4 minutes. Linton is sitting down at one point and Linda is all over him and the cameraman is just sitting directly in front of them, perhaps 2 feet away, filming, smoking, turning the camera on him to say, "There's a movie in it, gangsters. You know you're a gangster, right?" He's talking to Linton. "No one's coming through that door, bro. I will fight them. No one's coming. Do your thing, bro." There's a giant bottle of baby oil on the table next to them. And he keeps saying, "You know, we are family. This is how we live at Wandsworth."
What?
Wandsworth. Wandsworth, as in HMP Wandsworth, Britain's second largest prison located in South London. Linton is an inmate. The cameraman is his cellmate. And Linda, the woman that Linton is having sex with, is a prison guard. In the video, you can hear her radio turn on and you can make out some of the words. All stations, activity patrols. She's supposed to be guarding the inmates. Instead, she is in their cell having intimate relations with one while his cellmate records it on a phone that's been illegally smuggled into the prison. Some portions of the video are described as the woman's white prison blouse is visible and her belt, which usually contains handcuffs, a baton, and pepper spray to control the inmates, is bouncing up and down her waist. Clearly, she's breaking a ton of rules. I mean, not just rules put in place by the prison, but also the unofficial rules that female prison officers have set for themselves. One female prison guard writes online about the rules of being a prison guard in a male facility. She says, "Welcome to the show. Here's what you need to know. First, they're gonna try you. It'll mostly be slick comments that are inappropriate to see how far they can go, or always wanting to talk to you about BS issues just to be up in your face, and never, I mean never allow this to slide. If you do, they will keep doing it. Any unwanted physical, you order them to cuff up. You have to establish right from the start that nonsense is not going to fly, and you will enforce the rules. Avoid being alone with inmates, especially off camera. Situational awareness is life or death. Know where you are, know where everybody around you is, where backup is, and don't walk around blindly. Head on a swivel at all times. This will prevent getting hemmed up or blindsided. When your life is in jeopardy, do whatever you have to do to get out alive. Getting choked out, gouge out an eye, or bite down on any flesh that you can get in your mouth. 3 or more have you cornered? Hit the man down button, empty your pepper spray can all the way, and pick up anything to protect yourself." I mean, this is clearly not what Linda was doing inside that cell. In fact, the inmate had close access to her baton, her taser, her radio. He at one point, or multiple points throughout the video, had both of his hands around her neck. To give you some context, Linda is a Portuguese national living in London. She recently started working as a prison guard earlier this year, so a few months ago. Honestly, nobody in her family even knew that she wanted to be a prison guard. It just came out of nowhere. She went from being a personal trainer to going on this reality show, The Open House, and now she decides, hey, I'm gonna go inside one of the most understaffed, overpopulated prisons in South London. At first, nobody could understand why. But I mean, sure, it's a job, it pays, but surely there's easier jobs, right? Until she starts her OnlyFans. Her username was allegedly Linda from the Playroom. Or she said you could call her La Madre, the mother. Her bio allegedly read, before the account went private, happily married sexy Latina that wants to share hot content with you. We believe in authenticity. All our content will be genuine and we will never fake it because we want you to enjoy watching it as much as we enjoy making it. Which begs the question of, did she do all of this to promote her OnlyFans account? Linda's sister did an interview with Daily Mail where she confirmed, "My sister's a swinger. She was on Channel 4 a program called The Open House. I never saw it. It's not the sort of thing I would want to watch my little sister in. I only found out that she worked for the prison service in January. That's when I spoke to her and said, do not mix your lifestyle with work. Don't be stupid. Don't do stupid things. We're all human. We all make mistakes, and sometimes impulse can get the better of us. But it's probably one of the poorest decisions that she has ever made.
Wait, the sister knew this is what she wants to do?
No, so she's saying she has OnlyFans. Don't mix it with work. So I guess, yeah, she has a inkling.
Yeah, she's like, don't, what do you mean? Like, who even comes to that conclusion? Like, I would never think about that.
That's true. If you have a hobby on the side or a second job, you wouldn't mix it with
if
work.
I know someone who's OnlyFans and then they also are like, I don't make that connection. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So perhaps, yeah.
Wow.
It probably didn't help in Linda's case that she tried to, I wouldn't say flee, but she tried to leave the country immediately after the video starts going viral. She took her passport, drove to Heathrow, and tried to fly into Madrid.
Wait. So the video was taken by the cellmate.
And he posted it on social media, and at first it went viral in the prisons because everybody has an illegally smuggled phone. Yeah.
So she is okay with that. She knew this was taken, and she knew this was getting posted.
The suspicion here is that she thought it would leak and her name would be everywhere and she could capitalize on it. But I think she discovered very quickly that she broke laws and she was going to get arrested.
She didn't know she was breaking laws.
I guess not. That seems to be the case. That's the only thing that makes sense for a lot of netizens, that she wanted to do this to make a lot of money to promote her OnlyFans is the theory. But then once it's done, she realized she broke a bunch of laws. Maybe the video starts going viral and everyone's like, hey, actually, this is so illegal. And she maybe starts freaking out and decides, I'm going to not flee, but take a little vacation.
I'm assuming this is one of the biggest things they tell you, like on the employee's manual, like this is what you cannot do.
Yes. And it seems like it's been happening more frequently. I know that there have been a few higher profile cases of female prison guards that were fired for having intimate relations. I believe one had gotten pregnant with an inmate's child and another one had tattooed the inmate's name onto her thigh. And some of them will even go as far to tattoo the inmate's cell number, which feels very temporary because I feel like they could get moved to a different cell. But it gets very serious. We're going to get into the seriousness later, but
okay,
yeah.
So it sounds like she got the job. Do you think she got the job for this purpose?
That's what a lot of netizens believe because her family said it was a little random, just kind of out of nowhere. Nobody knew that she was interested in becoming a prison guard.
Yeah.
It seems like there were likely more than perhaps she thought. Maybe people would think it's a hoax. It wouldn't become like this international thing. It would get just enough attention to her account, perhaps, where she would blow up and make a ton of money.
Got it. I see.
This actually, when this video first came out, it was briefly debunked. It was briefly like, oh, that's not actually a prison. It's not a real cell.
Like a fake video.
Yeah, it's like a wannabe set.
I see.
Yeah.
Wow.
So she called her boss on the way to the airport, letting them know that her husband is going to return the rest of her work equipment and she's not going to be returning to work ever again. She technically states that she's going to visit relatives in Madrid. She was arrested at Heathrow Airport in London. She's facing life in prison.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. For misconduct in a public space, like misconduct in a public agency, because she works for the government.
Wait, she may get life in prison?
It's highly doubted she'll get life in prison, but I think that this charge, there's no specific charge for the specific crime that she committed. So this is the overall charge that it could fit into. So that the max is life in prison, but I highly doubt she's going to get max in prison. Other female guards that have been found having intimate relations with inmates, they did maybe like 4 years on average.
Okay.
She might get more because she filmed it. Yeah, but she is out on bail, but she came onto Instagram to post. Hello once again, Instagram. I hope you can appreciate this is going to be a very awkward and uncomfortable conversation for me to have. I just thought I really needed to come on here and clarify a few things. First thing being, there have been a lot, and I mean a lot, a tremendous amount of fake profiles of me that have been monetizing off of my misfortune and scandal that the entire world has somehow managed to be involved in. I have not monetized one bit at all. This is my only social media platform and I only just activated it again. So if you come across fake profiles of me asking for money, please don't fall for it. There have been a lot of fake GoFundMes and a lot of fake OF accounts that are not me. I do apologize if you have fallen from it. From the bottom of my heart, I apologize. I really want to clarify that this is my only social media account and I just came back on. On the topic of impersonation, I thought it'd be very important for me to address this very distasteful subject of OnlyFans creators impersonating me. So after this video went viral, a lot of OF creators started doing prison videos, but not actually in prison, like on sets. Some of them would look like Linda or try to dress like Linda and act like that was Linda's full unreleased.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. She said, pretending to be me and recreating the scenario of said scandal, which I am involved in. Very, very distasteful for you to monetize or advertise yourself as me for OF content. It does interfere with my trial, but furthermore, it is incredibly, incredibly distasteful. Please, if you are an OF creator, refrain from tagging said prison. We all know the name of the prison. Please refrain from tagging HMP Wandsworth on your stupid videos. There are other jails in the world. You don't have to pretend to be me. It is very distasteful. The fact that she's calling people out for distasteful activity.
Yeah, this is crazy. Like she feels like tag someone, don't copy my idea.
Yes, and so that's why a lot of people think that she did this for the purpose of promoting her OnlyFans, because she seems very upset that other people are monetizing and she wasn't able to, because at this point she's knee deep in legal troubles that there's no way she can monetize.
Yeah.
She says, and lastly, I wanted to tell you that all of you do not know my side of the story. The media has a great way of getting the narrative, twisting it for their benefit. The media love any story to be salacious and sensational. They sensationalize everything. You don't know my side of the story, and we will leave it at that for now.
I think other OnlyFans creators making money by acting to be you is probably the least of your concern at this point when you're facing life in prison. Like, who cares?
And this is what most of her rant is about. So she's like, we will leave it at that for now. But then she comes back with another Instagram story. And she says, whilst I'm here, this also has to be addressed. Whilst I'm here, you don't know who has you. You don't know who are your friends until shit hits the fan. Honest to God, family, friends, you need to pick them very carefully. Very, very carefully. There have been people going behind my back. The media have been following me everywhere. I can't go anywhere without being paparazzi'd. It's very annoying, and a lot of the time it's people who you thought had your back and they just don't, and that's been really heartbreaking on top of all of this, on top of everything. So that's just advice for everybody to pick very carefully who you have around you. She later states that she agreed to film the video because she's claiming the inmates had found out about her other explicit videos and they were going to make it known to the other inmates that she was filming those types of videos, which normally I might be able to understand this type of motivation and feeling of being blackmailed. There have been reports from other prison guards, female prison guards specifically, that if you give any bit of personal information or if inmates find out about it, they will try to hold it over you. They will try to hold it over you to get sexual favors, to get you to smuggle in phones, drugs, whatever it may be. They'll try to blackmail you and try to ruin your life. You feel trapped. But I'm not sure that this was that situation at all. She was on the show Open House. I'm pretty sure her OnlyFans was pretty public. I think everyone knew what she was doing in her free time. If the inmates find out, I don't think it's some crazy secret she needs to keep. I don't know how that interferes with her job, because what are they going to do? I'm going to tell your husband? She was on the show with her husband. I'm going to ruin your life and tell everybody? What do you mean?
Yeah.
She didn't say that she was forced, by the way. That's not the verbiage that she's using, but just so she felt compelled to have intimate relations with this inmate so that they would keep the secret. Her other argument is that she was generally just having a hard time at work and her marriage was not going well. She has pled guilty to misconduct in public office. She faces a life sentence, but also she states that she found God. Which is, she says, a great source of comfort for her. A very close friend of Linda states, Linda was going through a very hard time at work. She was having lots of problems in her marriage. She's absolutely devastated by what happened and is clearly full of remorse. It's just devastating and she's trying to rebuild her life. They're a lovely couple and working hard to save their marriage. It's not been easy for them. People are trying to make out that Linda is some kind of monster, but that's not the case at all. There's a lot more to the story than people think. Some of the prisoners got a hold of Linda's personal details. They knew her address, her husband's name, and that she had an OnlyFans account. She was put under a lot of pressure, and there was a lot of coercion involved. It wasn't hard for the other prisoners to get a hold of Linda's personal details and everything, and she's just a very kind and caring person who made a terrible, terrible mistake. We all get things wrong in life, and people shouldn't be so quick to judge her. Which is, I do agree though. I see a lot of comments like, if this were a man in Linda's shoes, this would be the most unhinged statement. So I think it should apply in this case as well. The prosecutors do judge her. In fact, the prosecutors do not believe Linda's version of events. They state this was a shocking breach of the public's trust. She was clearly an enthusiastic participant who wrongly thought that she would avoid responsibility. There is no excuse for any prison officer who conducts themselves in such a manner, and we will never hesitate to prosecute those who abuse their position of power. So not only is it abuse of power, but I will say there's that power imbalance. Others are pointing out that at one point the inmate had his hands around her neck. Her baton and taser were just right there, free for them to grab. It was a clear violation, but also a huge safety risk for other guards and the other inmates in the facility.
Right.
It also puts a clear target on female officers' backs. A lot of them have stated when stories like this come out, it almost furthers the, quote, commodification of female officers as meat. The way that these male inmates already see female COs, like correctional officers, is they want to do sexual things with them. And once one of them gives in, they feel like it could happen to them. They just need to try harder. And it makes these workers' jobs so much more difficult, and it borderlines sexual harassment and assault in some very dangerous cases.
Yes.
There's also a lot of questions about how she was even hired, considering she allegedly had a public Facebook post with a caption that read, "What's your type? For me, bandits, outlaws, and criminals." There is an investigation being held. It's likely that the prison was incredibly understaffed, and that's why they hired her. And this is just not a good look for HMP Wandsworth. So a few months ago, September 2023, well, I guess not a few months ago, but not that long ago, an inmate named Daniel Khalif was in prison for charges related to espionage and terrorism. He allegedly planted a fake bomb at the Ministry of Defense, which is kind of a big deal. And he allegedly tried to gather useful information for enemy states, enemy countries. Now, he was in prison awaiting his trial. He was a relatively good inmate. He secured a job at the prison's kitchen until he didn't. Staying with her, is he not staying with her? We don't know. They have a child together, that's all we know. But the father-in-law stated this was something that happened where she was on her own. She was the person in charge, and she was the one who needs to take responsibility as far as I'm concerned. Her husband, my son, didn't know what she was doing. She's an idiot as far as I'm concerned. As for the inmate in the video, his mom also commented. So Linton's mom stated, if they're offering it on a plate, then the guy's gonna take it, you know what I mean? She goes on to state that while her son deeply regrets his actions, the fault lies alone with Linda, the prison guard. His mom also states that he used to have dreams of playing football and starring on Love Island, the reality show, before landing himself in prison. One netizen suspects that Linda and her husband were both in on it because it doesn't make sense. One comment reads, this is all a grift on their part. She's an OF model and swinger. Getting notoriety for doing a bad job while doing spicy things does nothing but drive traffic to her page. Another one comments, it doesn't matter. She definitely thinks that essaying a man will get her a light sentence because she's a woman. I hope the judge proves her wrong. While some netizens, they just didn't take it seriously at all. One of them comments, this makes me want to get sentenced.
Oh.
Which again is not good for female COs. Because And then another person comments, she's dealing with a hardened criminal. She is currently out on bail, conditional bail, so she's being heavily monitored until her sentencing in November, where she does in fact face life in prison. And that is the case of Linda de Souza. I mean, I don't even know what to say about this case. It's just I know that a lot of people were taking this case very lightly because it's hee-hee-ha, shocking, right? But when you really think about the ripple effect of what it's doing to all the other female COs, to what it's doing inside the prisons, and the fact that this even happened in the first place, and What if it wasn't Linton? What if it was somebody else that decided that they were just going to get rid of Linda and try to break out or escape or let other inmates out? I mean, this could have really been very bad on so many levels. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments, and please stay safe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.